Well, hello. So, today I have something very different. Today, excuse me, today I want to do a project that is kind of fun, and it benefits um, some national charities, and it's a different one every time. And it's just kind of neat. And I thought, with the kids being out of school right now, maybe this would be something that the kids would do and they would enjoy. I did this with my grandchildren, and we've done this a few times, and my grandkids really like it. So maybe your kids will like it too. So what we're going to need for this is a permanent pen. Now that can be a paint pen, a micron, or some form of Sharpie. Okay? Something that you can write with that isn't going to rub off. We're going to need some acrylic paint. Any colors you want, and, as many as you want, but some acrylic paint. Okay? And a rock. Any old flat rock will do. Now, I painted my rock white, and I kind of tapped the paint on so that I could fill up the holes so it doesn't look like that. See that? That's the back. See, I left the holes in it so you could see them. Well, they look kind of funny, right? We don't want the holes. So I filled in the holes on this side as best I could. See, they're all nice and filled in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of look at my rock and think about what I think my rock is. And then I'm going to kind of put a rough drawing on it. Let's see if we can get this paint pen going. It's a brand new one, show. Do, do, do. It doesn't want to stay there. Come on, paint pen. Oh, it's starting. Okay, so I'm using a fine tip one. And I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is I'm going to make mine into a mushroom. So I'm just going to kind of rough sketch this out, okay? Now don't worry about it getting covered up, because we're going to fix that later. Okay, a little bit there. Some over here. Yeah, I like that. That looks good. And then my base should be down here. Let's see. Kind of like this. Okay. Yeah, it kind of looks like a mushroom. And then mushrooms should have some spots. So I'm just going to kind of rough in some circles and some half circles. Okay, so now I'm going to put a door. Now, I like my door to be like one-sided, like with hinges on one side. So I'm putting in some hinges. Go through, and then I want to put a window over here. I like that. And I'm going to make these bricks around my door. Because who would live in a mushroom except for a mouse or a fairy, right? So there it is. It's kind of a little mushroom on there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paints and I'm going to begin to paint this. Okay? So I'm going to start with the mushroom cap, and I'm pretty much just going to kind of lay the color over this, and then I'm going to put in my dots and give it some highlight. So I'm going to be using a very small brush to do this. So I'm going to set up my paints, get out all the colors that I'm going to be using, and I'll be right back with you, okay? Okie dokie. So I went ahead and I put some colors in the palette. We'll start over here. I've got shamrock green, leaf green, grass green, and then this is like an emerald. It's got a little glitter to it. This is tan. It's got some air bubbles in it, but we'll pop those. This is earth brown. That's tuxedo black. Now this is a really nice little color called sweet pea. And then this one over here is hyacinth, and this is purple pansy. Now almost all of my acrylic paints are... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my brush wet, because I like to start with a wet brush, and then I'm just going to tap a little bit of the water off on my towel over here. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so I'm just going to tap off a little bit of the water on my towel. Get a towel over here, there we go. And I'm going to come in, and what I'm going to be using, I think, for my primary on this one, is going to be this hyacinth, okay? Then I'm going to use the darker or lighter shades to shade it, okay? So I'm just going to come in and grab some of this, and I am just going to start painting up to the lines that I put on here. And the reason I added that white was so that I didn't have to do 2 or 3 colors of these lighter colors. The rock underneath is actually very light gray. My husband's going to get real mad at me soon because I keep stealing rocks out of the front yard. And he paid for those. But they're just the perfect size. And, you know, I'm pretty sure by now he's tired of the neighbors going, "What is it your wife does out here all the time?" My neighbors have learned not to ask because they know I'm an artist, so they just figure if I'm out there doing something weird, it's probably artsy-fartsy. So I'm just kind of laying this on, and I'm going to cover the whole thing. Now, I may speed this video up at some point because you guys don't want to sit here and watch me lay on paint. You know, nobody wants to watch paint dry. But I am going to put some coats on here and get this colored up. And so I'm probably just going to do this on camera, but I'm going to speed it up for you guys, okay? So I'm going to be adding some blue pearl, just a little bit. This is called Blue Heaven. And this is Parrot Blue. It's a little green. It's got a little bit of a green tint to it. It's on the green side. But it's okay. Now, I'm also going to be adding a darker blue here. I'm going to go with Truly Blue. Okay. And just a couple of drops of that. Because it has to have some kind of sky background. So to do that, I'm going to actually start with the lightest blue. Again, I'm going to wet my brush just to get my bristles moving. I'm going to pick up some of that light blue. Get in all the little cracks and crevices here. And I'm just going to start laying in the blue. Just the light blue, little shade. Don't worry about this stuff. We'll take care of that in the end. Okay. We're going to come up along the back end of our piece here. I don't know what you drew. But I do want to put some sky behind him. So I'm just going to throw in some sky here. And this is why I chose to use an angled brush, because I knew I had to get into these angles. Okay. And yes, I know the sky is not on the ground. We'll take care of all of that in a minute. All right, let me turn this around so I can finish up this part up here and work my way around the other side. Now you can paint the back of your rock if you want to, but for our purposes, it's probably best to just leave it white, okay? And I'm going to show you why in a minute. Well, not a minute, but I'll show you. You'll see. Just bear with me. Okay. So now I'm adding in some of the sky. And you can see I went in and I did a little bit of the detail, just the big detail pieces. Like we all know the door is going to be brown. So I went in and I put brown on the door. Now, I'm going to let this set for just a second, and I'm going to come in with my next shade. Now, if you have used your markers, you're familiar with doing this, okay? So the next shade I have is going to be this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and take a look. Now, I don't like that. I just don't like, nope, don't like it. Don't like it at all. Not digging it. So I'm going to come in with this one instead, because this one I think under the odd light looks better. So I'm going to come in once this dries, and I'm just going to lay in my second color. And I'm not going to bring it all the way in. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to foop, 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 foop. Doo, 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 doo. It helps if you get it on the right side of the brush there, Els. Little floop, little floop, little floop, little floop. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm blending and shading the color that I'm putting on here. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with the darkest blue that I've got, which is this blue right here. And I'm just going to take a little bit right on the tip of my shading brush. See how tiny that is? And all I'm going to do is come in here right underneath this crown and along this edge, because I'm going to say the sun's coming this way. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a brushing, okay? But I have to wait for that one to dry first. So we're going to give that a few minutes to dry, and we'll be right back. Okay, so for the next part, I'm going to use a thin brush. I'm going to come in here with these greens. Now, I'm going to start with this emerald green. And I'm not painting. I'm shooshing. Okay. swooshing. Shoo, 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 shoo. Shoo, 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 shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Shoo, 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 shoo. And just shoot, shoot, shoot. Little sprigs. Okay? Now, for this next part, I'm going to use the tiniest little brush. Okay? This little brush is tiny, and I have actually trimmed the tips of it kind of at an angle for my purposes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to one of these other greens. And I'm just putting in thin lines, and you'll notice when I dip it in the paint, I'm rolling it. Now, I'm not suggesting that you destroy a paintbrush to do this. This is how I do it. It works for me. You may find that it does not work for you. I know some people that like to use fan brushes to do this. And they just put a bunch of colors into the center of a palette, and they kind of move them around a little. And then they just kind of tap the tip of a fan brush in. However you want to do this works for me. And all I'm doing here is just putting in grass. That's why I'm using multiple colors, because I want it to look a little more real. That's why I'm not painting so much as I'm just kind of swishing it on there. That's why I said we don't need a whole lot of these colors. Now we're going to use them a little bit more, but for now, we don't need too much of it. You're going to get some use out of this brush, though. Okay? See that? See? Now, if I want to, I can come back in with my shading brush and come around the bottom. And just kind of lay in some green underneath my grass, just so it doesn't look too abrupt. And I've mixed two of my greens here, but I haven't really blended them so much. And then I'm coming up just over the bottom of where I started with the dark green. There. See? Not too bad, right? So I have this cool silver that I love. It's called zinc. And it is one of my metallics from Deco Art. And I love this because it looks almost like water when it's on. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this black And I'm going to put some of this black over here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white. About twice as much white as black. Okay. Moving back over to a smaller brush. I'm back to that 3, okay? And the reason that I'm going back to the 3 is because these rocks are little. See how little they are? Now, I'm not going to paint every one of them with the zinc. But this, I'm not painting so much as I'm just tapping it in. Okay? So, not every one of them is going to get the zinc. Because I do want to break it up a little bit. So, I'm going to do like every other one gets the zinc. Way too much paint there. A little bit more. Finish this one down here. And then I'm going to blend this together. Clean off my brush. Get my tip back. And then I'm going to do the ones in between in this gray. Now you're not going to see much of a difference until this dries, because the zinc is going to be kind of liquidy and metal looking, and the gray is going to be very flat. So when it's all wet, it looks the same, but once it's dried, it's going to look different. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to come back in, and I'm using a tiny little brush. This is a number 1, okay? Tiny little brush. And I'm going to get a tiny little bit of paint on my tiny little brush. This is the tedious part. I'm going to come back over where I drew my original design, and I'm going to trace those lines back in with black. Because I do want the definition of the shapes. Okay. A little happy with the background there. Okay. Now, by all means, if you used a paint pen to do this the first time, or a marker, of course, do it, do the same thing. If you don't trust your hand to do this with the paint, then by all means, do it with a marker. Because I'd hate to see you come this far and mess something up. That would be horrible. Okay. So again, I'm not going to make you guys watch me do this. I'm going to probably speed this part of the video up, okay? But I'm just going to go around every single thing that I put on here, all my major parts, um, with my black and just define my lines again, okay? Okay, so for the next part of this, we're going to go to a place called GoRocks.com.
All right, so on the computer, we're going to go to GoRock.com, okay? Now, this is my account, so I'm going to log into it. All right. Now, see, that's a rock that Shaylee painted, and it's out there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go here where it says Get an ID. So I'm going to click on Get an ID. And first thing I'm going to do is name it. You know what? I think we're going to call this one Mouse House. Okay? Now, you can use GPS, or you can just enter your location manually. I'm going to enter it manually. Okay? So I'm just going to put in here Las Vegas, Nevada. USA. Okay? Now I'm going to upload a photo of my rock. So I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm going to go right in here to my pictures. Here's my rock. So I'm going to upload that. Make sure that it's in the right direction. And then I'm going to put some tags in here. Mushroom, mouse, whatever I want to put. Okay? Now I'm going to put in a story. Let's see. Okay. So I painted this rock on my YouTube channel to bring awareness of this program to my viewers. Now I'm going to click Get an ID. Okay, so you can see right here it says rock ID AL3D3E4 Alpha Lima 3 Delta 3 Echo Tango, and the date that I created it, which was July 10th. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take that number and I'm going to put it on the back of my rock, and I'm also going to put GoRock.com. So people can find my rock, go to GoRock.com, put in my rock ID number, find out a little bit about my rock, mark where they found it, and then they can go put it someplace else. Okay? So, what happens with GoRock? What do they do that's, you know, so cool? Well, when you do a GoRock, every time somebody reports a rock, a donation is made to a charitable organization. Okay? It's not a lot of money, never is. But when it's a lot of people painting rocks and their little bits of money get together, it becomes a lot of money. So I encourage you to do this, okay? All right, let's go back and take a look. Let's put our ID on our rock and get it ready to go.
Okay, now on this side, I'm going to put Find Me. Okay, Hide Me. And then I'm going to put the ID number. So let's see. I have Alpha, Lima, the number 3, Delta, the number 3, Echo, Tango. And then right here underneath, I'm going to put GoRock.com. Okay? So I've got it all written out. It's on there. Now, I'm going to spray this with polyurethane so this doesn't disappear. Okay? And then I'm going to take my rock, and I'm going to take it to the park tomorrow. And it's actually a park where I know a lot of tourists go. So I'm going to go to the park, and I'm going to put it underneath a tree. So I'm going to hide it, but I'm not going to hide it too much. And I'm going to let somebody find it. And then we're going to see where it goes from there. Okay? So, who knows? Maybe someday you'll find my mouse house. All right, guys. Down there, red button says subscribe. Do me a favor. Go ahead and click on it for me. There you go. You know you want to. Click it. Click it. Do it. Do it. All right. Now we're friends. Okay. Now, a couple more quick things. Like me. Ring my bell. Share me with all your friends. We want GoRocks all over the place. And if you find it, let me know. Till the next time, guys. Bye-bye.